I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart.
You don't like a particular policy or a particular president? Then argue for your position. Go out there and win an election. Are some of these folks really so beholden to one extreme wing of their party that they're willing to tank the entire economy just because they can't get their way on this issue? Are they really willing to hurt people just to score political points? Republicans in Congress chose to shut down the federal government. Let me be more specific. One faction of one party in one house of Congress, in one branch of government, shut down major parts of the government, all because they didn't like one law.
Projection. I got to tell you something, all right? First of all, I don't know what the sheep thing was. I feel like when I watch that clip, I enter into the Twilight Zone. I'm like, what is that? You might have to explain that to me. But I'm sorry. And I Joe, I'm an open book. Welcome everybody to the front line with Joe and Joe Pasillo, Joe Resinello. We're going way in the breach today. We got a lot of things to discuss. Particularly like the Joe, the Muslims are out of control. I mean, we're going to talk about that. Tom Massey, he's the guy's going to get himself killed, I think. I think he's going to be on somebody's hit list.
There's a few people like that out there.
The guy's got stones, man, and he doesn't hold back, and he stands on principle. So we're going to get into a lot of that today. I know this is going to sound harsh. I have no love in my heart for Barack Obama. Like, as a Christian, as a Catholic, I have no love for that guy. And the reason why I say that is because, see, what bothers me more than anything is, nowadays Barack Obama couldn't get away with that. Okay. Because you have social media. But remember, that's when he was president. Social media was still obviously on the rise. So he knew he could go out there, he could say whatever he wants, and they have their friends in the media that are going to have his back. If you listen to that clip and you didn't know Barack Obama, you didn't know who he was and what party he was in, you'd think he was describing the Democrats over the last couple months. Because that's exactly what
that's all projection, Joe. That's exactly what they did. They did shut the economy down as a result of COVID. Yep. And that was to win an election. They used a crisis. That's how politics works, by the way. That's what's going on right now with that shooting in D.C. They're using a crisis to put forth an agenda. That's what politicians do. Everything he says, he actually tells everybody what he's going to do, whether he realizes it or not. That's not the only clip that he's done that. Right. It's all projection. That's exactly what they did.
No, and like I said, it's not as frustrating anymore, like I said, because we have social media, and a lot of their lies they can't get away with anymore. They can't shut people down. CNN tried that. CNN tried to, basically just get rid of anybody who has any semblance of common sense, like a Scott Jennings, and they found that their ratings were in the toilet. So they knew that they had to bring on a conservative voice, to offset their the leftist, talking heads on their channel, right? And because money's involved and their ratings were in the crapper. So even them, they had to come around. MSNBC is still off the deep end. But what do you make? Well, let's play.
I want to address just a comment here. Robert Wildchild says, guys in the U.S. getting ready for another pandemic. Do you know today at Mass, the intention, pray for people who have the virus? And I looked at my wife. She looked at me, and I was like, I think they're talking about people who have the mind virus. Because I don't know what's that talk all about. Right. That was said at Mass, Joe.
Well, is there something going on?
I don't even know. This Robert is confirming it. Somebody like this week mentioned that there's talk that supposedly COVID is coming back, but like it actually was an intention at Mass. Yes, today
Pray for people,
Pray for people who have the
have
virus.
the
I just looked
virus.
at my wife. I was like, I guess they're talking about the mind virus. I don't know what they're talking
I
about.
don't, yeah, I don't know either. So listen, let's go here first. Let's talk about this the shooting in D.C. National Guard troops were shot, and I believe 2 died. Joe, am I correct?
No, one passed, the woman, and the guy is fighting for his life. So pray for him. I prayed for him this morning when I went to adoration, and I also prayed for him yesterday. He's a young man. It's just a tragedy, all because of nonsense. None of this should have happened. None of it. It's an
Right.
absolute tragedy, and the regular person is the one who suffers. It's just
No,
sad.
you're absolutely right. Let's and then we'll talk about the scum Democrats when after we play a couple clips.
Operation Allies Welcome is the ongoing effort to bring Americans home and to bring vulnerable Afghans to the United States and support their resettlement. The President of the United States has the authority to designate a federal agency to lead a federal response. Last Friday, he designated the Department of Homeland Security as the lead federal agency to coordinate Operation Allies Welcome to help ensure unity of effort, clear roles and responsibilities, synchronized priorities, and effective coordination across the federal government. This initiative requires us to call on the resources, expertise, and authorities of every part of the federal government.
Because they let them in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked, there were many of them, and they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful. And if you look, you'll see there was a law passed. It makes it almost impossible not to let them in, not to certify them, so to speak, once they come in. And they came in, and they shouldn't have come in. And frankly, the whole thing was a mess. The whole Afghanistan situation was a mess. It should have never.
Let's leave it there. Here's my problem: is I'm tired of hearing Democrats saying, "What are you questioning my?" I'm an American too. I'm a patriot too. No, you're not. No, you're not. When you let people into this country knowing that those people have no love for this country whatsoever, you just want to let them in for political power. And as Donald Trump said, then you can't get rid of them once they're in, and you pass that law too. Don't get me started on the fact the Republicans let them do this, okay? Just like the Republicans let them do everything, all right? These people just really, the Democrat Party is not a party of patriots. They're not an American party. If Donald Trump really wanted to do something to shake things up, declare the Democrat Party a terrorist organization. Because when you let these people in, whether it's you're letting people through the southern border or from Afghanistan, you're just letting them come in. You know they're going on the dole. You know they're taking advantage of social services. You know they hate this country. We're going to play a clip. They're saying they're in the street saying death to Americans in Dearborn, Michigan. Joe, you got to help me because these people, I'm sorry, they are not, that party is not American. They do not like America. They want to tear it down, and I don't know what they want to replace it with.
Well, a couple things. One, they're manipulated by the press, a lot of people. I'm for immigration. I'm absolutely for immigration. And as a Catholic, I'm for what the Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches, which says, as the Pope said, a country has a right to borders, and it has to be in the benefit not only of the person coming in, but the people who live there. And that didn't take place. They let in 20 million people for a political agenda, and that wasn't addressed by the U.S. bishops. They addressed a piece of the truth, and that's what frustrates me as well as many others. Yes, we should not break up families. I agree with that. If people are here, we shouldn't terrorize people. We have to look at this from a humane perspective. Agreed, Bishop. 100%. Where was your voice when the border was wide open during the Biden administration? I'm not being partisan. I'm addressing the correct statement that you made during the Trump administration. And I agree with that piece of what you said. Where was your voice during the Biden administration? All those people who came in were here for a political reason. This wasn't a humanitarian effort. If you actually think that, you have your head in the sand. And all of those people affect the working poor of America. Their wages went down, their rents went up. Right. If we're championing the poor, as we're pretending to say, well, I don't want to say we're pretending, as we're saying a piece of the truth, we're not saying the whole truth. And that further clouds the conversation, and it aggravates me. And frankly, it's just another thing that I just say to myself, where are the clear voices in this country? Where? Well, people are so manipulated and have such agendas.
Yeah.
And like, I want objective truth. I am not interested in partisan.
Can I ask you a question? I mean, and again, you'll tell me if I'm being unfair. I think if you come to this country and you granted citizenship, I think it should be, I don't know what you would call it. I don't know if it even exists at all, but here's an idea. You come to this country and you outwardly express that you hate this country.
You're gone.
No, you have to be removed from the country.
How about vetting your neighbors? Joe? How about vetting people? We went through a whole period of COVID where they wouldn't let you go to the store, yet they let people in without vetting them, coupled with the fact that there are people who sincerely hate America, that they want to do harm to it. They open the door for political gain and put regular people at risk, i.e. what just happened. No one was vetted, never mind tested for COVID. This is the hypocrisy, which was completely ignored by the Democratic Party simply because they want power. Coupled with the fact, the very people who they want them to vote, and they're not citizens, this goes along with the Catholic bishop conversation, the party wants to undermine you and slit your own throat. Right. What don't you understand?
Right.
What don't you understand? It is baffling to me.
It is. It is not a part of being an American that we have to. We're somehow obligated to let people in who openly, outspokenly hate this country. We should have the right as a country to say
we do have the right, but they don't care. Because it's about political gain. Just like, to be honest with you, DEI politics is it pretends to be about equity and justice. A DEI agenda would be rejected by Martin Luther King. It has nothing to do with equity. It has everything to do with power. Well, I want mine because you took from me, and now I'm taking from you. Let's mask it around diversity, equity, and inclusion. It has nothing to do with equity.
No,
it has everything to do with power, and we're okay with it because at this particular moment in history, it works for me.
Well, we're gonna play a clip from Nick Fuentes in a little bit, right? Nick Fuentes is really starting to like. I'm listening to a lot of what he's saying, and I don't care what people think about that. I'm listening to Nick Fuentes, and he, as far as the politics, leaving aside some of the other,
as far as the racial stuff can get like a little.
Yeah, it bothers me, and I would tell him, I don't dislike the guy. I would tell him right to his face, "You're wrong on race," but that's a different story. But on politics, he's right.
Oh, 100%. He's very astute, very astute, well read.
We're going to play that. We're going to play that in a little bit. But this is what I'm going to show you a couple clips. This is what we're up against.
Not a great look. The mayor condemned it. The White House condemned it. But what about Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib? She reps Dearborn. Is she okay with her constituents chanting death to America? Fox Business correspondent Hillary Vaughn asked her. Watch.
Congresswoman Tlaib,
Fox News. I don't talk to Fox News.
at a rally in your district, people were chanting "Death to America." Do you condemn?
Talk to Fox News.
Do you condemn chants of "Death to America"?
I don't talk to people that use racist tropes.
Why can't you just say whether or not you condemn people chanting "Death to America"? Why are you afraid to talk to Fox?
Fox News is not listen, using racist tropes towards my community is what Fox News is about, and I don't talk to Fox News.
Is "Death to America"?
Now you have all these Islam men yelling Allah Akbar. I have a question for you guys. If America were to get in a war with a country like Iraq, who would you guys defend, America or Iraq?
We won't get in a war. That's not permissible for us. But at the same time,
Who would you defend first?
We would support our brothers in Iraq. That's the only way.
So you wouldn't defend America?
We would not defend America.
But you're American.
But at the same time, listen. At the same time, America is our country because we were born here. But in our Islamic book, we're not allowed to fight with people that are against our religion. So we just take up the jail time.
So you would
That's
not.
what we do.
So you would not defend America.
I would go to jail instead of fighting for America.
And who would?
What do you say? First of all, if there was ever a woman who needed a good slap in the face, not by a man, I wish that reporter just clocked her. But leaving that aside, the whole thing about racist tropes, that's another thing too, which is another conversation. When you criticize Islam, you're not criticizing a race of people. You're criticizing the actions of a ostensibly a religious group. Okay, that's a religion. It's not. It's always race. Racist trope. No, it's not. Why? Because most Muslims have dark skin. It has nothing to do with race. The same thing when they talk about a lot of criticism of Israel and stuff like that. It's not racist. You're criticizing a worldview. You're criticizing a worldview. Now, the worldview of what we just saw is these men, these military age men, will not fight for the United States of America. But I will tell you this though: our people fought against the other Italians. German Americans fought against the Nazis. Okay, you have so we and they were you had Catholic Italians in Italy, fighting in the Italian army. You had Catholic Italians in the United States Army. They didn't say, "Oh, I'm not going to go fight a war." They fought a war. They defended their country. Okay, in World War II. So why do these people get a pass? Why? Why did they get to say, well, I wouldn't fight for America? Then effing leave. I don't care anymore, Joe. I don't. Then leave the country. But here's the thing. I would tell them all, every one of them, you hate this country so much. Okay, you stay in Dearborn. You come into my neighborhood trying that shit, okay, then there's going to be an issue. You come up here where I am in Arizona, in Scottsdale. You come up here and you try that nonsense, all right? And you think that you're going to burn my house down. And again, the left, part of their plan, they want violence. See, they want violence. All right. They want to see civil unrest. That's how they gain more power. You mentioned COVID. They got power from that. Civil unrest, they give themselves more power. So that and these Muslims, guys like in that video, they're too stupid to realize that they're being used.
Ridiculous.
They're being used.
I mean, Joe, it comes down to common sense. You come to a country, you come there to become a citizen of that country. You can't come, this is common sense. This is everywhere in the world. You can't, now that doesn't mean you can't hold on to your cultural heritage. However, if you migrate to a country, it's with the intent to be an American. This is not an insane statement. This is just common sense. If that's not your intent, you should not be here. And we'll take it another step. Again, common sense. If you're outwardly working to undermine the nation, there has to be consequences for that. Period. End of story. And I don't know why we tolerate these things. To be honest with you, I just shake my head. We are as a country, as Trump said to that woman. I mean, he was a little rude, but there is some truth to. Are we that stupid? How could you not do something when someone is not only threatening you, but have every intention to carry out their threats, and it's been proven?
That's right.
There's a litany of examples.
Yeah.
How we tolerate this is mind-numbing to me.
Well,
I just don't. It's like the crime in these cities. Why is it tolerated? You
right.
see, we just don't have you've said this many times, the political will. The answer should be tough SHIT. I don't care.
Right.
We're doing this. We're stopping crime because we can. It's America, dude. We can. JFK, when he brought troops to basically because the South, so I forget, it was either in Arkansas or Mississippi, because there were two instances. It was in Mississippi. JFK brought 30,000 troops to the University of Mississippi, not 500, 30,000.
Right.
He was like, no, we're not having this. It's over. We could do that just like that. The crime in
Right.
Chicago could end today, and it doesn't. Why should a law-abiding taxpayer have to get set on fire? Why?
Right.
It blows my mind why we tolerate this as a people. The answer to those who have a problem with that is tough SHIT.
That's it.
Tough.
Right.
Get lost. And if you have a problem with that, bring it, because we're going to come and arrest you too.
Right.
Because you're breaking the law.
You're
I'm
breaking
trying
the
to
law.
protect people. If you have a problem with me putting in a situation whereby we protect people, well, then you're a criminal too. And you're getting arrested. And if you have a problem with that, take me to court. Let's go. This is the type of smash mouth politics that should be going on. It's just that simple. But
Right.
we are stupid. We're just a stupid people
Well, we
as
let
a
the-
nation.
we
And
let
that's
the
why
left-
the country's falling apart.
But we let the left, unfortunately, and we went through it when we went to the indoctrination centers that they called schools. And I went to a good public school for grammar school. But my point is, they shamed us. There's all these instances in American history that they use, and it's part of their playbook. So if, let's say, for argument's sake, you rightfully speak out and condemn communism. Well, you're like McCarthy. And I've said this before on the show. I am a Joe McCarthy fan. I am. I don't care what anybody says about that. I'll give you another perfect example, okay? To your point about what you said, okay? You remember the story of Sacco and Vanzetti?
I don't.
Okay. So Sacco and Vanzetti were two Italian immigrants. They were also anarchists. They were also terrorists. They set off bombs, okay? Well, they got arrested. You know what happened after they got arrested and they were tried in a court of law? They were executed, okay? Because for crimes against the country. They were self-identified.
What's the time frame on that?
Early 20th century.
Okay.
They held up, the left has always held up Sacco and Vanzetti as a case of American injustice. My father used to say, oh, he says, Joey, don't listen to the BS. Sacco and Vanzetti were guilty of sin. They were anarchists. They did set off bombs. They were plotting against the United States government. And they got what they deserved. They got tried, they got arrested, they got tried, and they were executed. Okay, why is it that we don't bring that back? Now, I know what your feeling is about the death penalty, but here's my point. Stick them in a hole for the rest of their life.
Well, put them in jail. This is my point. It's common, Joe, this is common sense. This is not fascism. You do not have a right to hurt people.
That's right.
You do not have a right to undermine the nation. What those boys were talking about was insurrection. We're not, we don't believe in what the country espouses. We're actively working to undermine it. Now, if you want to take up a movement legally, go for it. You want to protest peacefully, go for it. I'm all for that. But you do not have a right to hurt people. And this is, again, where I just don't understand why normal, objective people tolerate it. I don't. And what I mean by that is the politics around it would, I believe, resonate with the 80% in the middle. Right. Who, frankly, their life is deeply affected by this nonsense. People can't go into the subway in New York City anymore. Right. That affects people.
Right.
That affects people. A young girl was set on fire. She was like 26. How can you possibly think that's okay?
When was that?
That happened like about 2 weeks ago, dude. Look it up.
In New York
City?
City?
No, in Chicago.
Oh, in Chicago.
It's horrible.
Was she black?
No, she was
Oh,
just
okay.
a young, nice girl, innocent, didn't do anything.
Right.
Joe, how is this tolerated? And
I
this
think
is what I'm saying. If you have a problem with the National Guard stopping that, you're the problem.
you're the problem
Sorry, and I don't care.
because
I don't care. And
the
if
National
you get in
Guard,
the way of that, even if you're a governor, arrest him.
oh, yeah, you got
You
arrested.
get arrested. That's
Just like
it.
the congresswoman from Newark who got arrested when she
Good.
assaulted, and they want to cry fascism and all these different
Whatever.
things. They're just words. They don't even know what the word fascist
Whatever. They don't
means.
even know what it means.
But the fact is
Arrest.
those-
You're not, listen, if people are getting hurt, you're not standing in the way of safety. That's the primary purpose of government.
Right.
Primary purpose, to keep
Protect
people
the
safe.
people. Right.
Sorry. And if you have a problem with that, I don't care who you are. You get arrested too. And I'm not apologizing for it. And this is all I would say. Get a good lawyer.
Get a good lawyer.
Get
Lawyer
a good
up.
lawyer. We'll see you in court. We'll see you in court. Good luck.
And those troops,
That's it.
and what bothers me is this: those troops are there to protect people. They are not violating the rights of any American citizen.
Of course. But again,
They're not
the press-
harming Americans. They're not harming American citizens. They are there to, when they're in Chicago. I wish they, I wish they would. But let's say in D.C., when a black woman is able to walk down the street and go to the grocery store without worried about getting harassed or attacked in any way, guess what? Those troops are there to protect her. What's the matter? Her life doesn't count. You're worried about the thug who's wearing his pants halfway down his ass. Okay, probably armed. You're worried about that guy. I'm worried about the woman who's got to walk down the street. I'm worried about the little kid, her little son on her arm, that he gets hit with a stray bullet and dies.
Happened in Newark recently.
And this is where people like Rashida Tlaib bother me so much. Okay, it's racist tropes against my people. I'm trying to say that we need to defend black people in Chicago and D.C., in Newark and Detroit. We need to defend black people. We need to protect them from other black people. In most cases, in the inner city. Okay. White guys like us ain't going in there and harming these kids. They're shooting each other, but other people get killed in the process. I want to help black people.
Joe,
and then for her to call that reporter that she was talking to racist because she's pointing out that now you have anti-American mayors in these cities like Chicago and Newark, and they're completely anti-American. So now when somebody's even more outspokenly anti-American, saying death to America, well, to criticize them means you're using a racist trope against my people. That's why I said she deserves what they used to say in Italian. That's why she deserves a little takara. You know what I mean? She needs a little backhand once in a while.
Joe, I'll be honest with you. That woman, and there's many people in institutions that run everything. They don't believe in the founding of this country. You see, we have to call people out. They don't believe in what the country believes in. I just read a book by one of the people we interviewed on our Veritas show, Great Speeches of Americans, going all the way back to like the founding, Adams, Jefferson, Washington. It was like reading a book about a different country. They don't believe in the founding of America. They're trying to change. Barack Obama said the truth out loud, change. He does not believe, and many like him, nor does Mandani, in what the country was founded upon. They're not interested. This was founded upon a Christian ethic. Right. This is undisputable. It's undisputable.
But isn't that why it's attacked? Isn't that
Joe, they're trying to undermine the country. And this is where, again, I'm going to circle back to why we tolerate it. I shake my head. I don't understand why it's tolerated. And again, my response would be very simple. Get a good lawyer. If you think I'm a fascist, you can't even spell a fascist. You don't even know what it means.
They don't know what it means.
So what I would simply say is this. Get a good lawyer, because we are moving forward. And if you have a problem with that, I hope you win in court, because if you don't, you don't. And if you cause violence, we're dealing with it.
That's right.
You see, this is another thing which I just don't understand. If you cause harm and violence, we're dealing with you on your terms, period. I'm not starting the fight. But if you're going to hurt people, we are coming at you. full on, unapologetic. Sorry. The answer is sorry. You shouldn't have done that.
Shouldn't have done that.
And that is it. And I just don't understand. And that's not being anti-Christian. You're supposed to protect the innocent. That's what you're supposed to do. And we're not.
Kind of like in the job description. Tumble Cycles in the chat room. Tumble Cycle brought back a word that we used to use all the time. Disgrazia.
Oh, yes. That is exactly.
They are disgrazia. So here, I mean, look, we've been saying on this show from the beginning, okay, and obviously we've been supporters of Donald Trump, of the Republican Party in general, knowing that we're never going to they never fulfill their promises to us. Most of the time they break them. However, we've been, because we're left no choice because the Democrats are completely insane. And they are. They're insane and they're evil. That's demonstrable, okay? But Nick Fuentes has a good point.
It's time to pound our fist on the table and say, it's our way or the highway. You've enjoyed the power and privileges for long enough. Where's ours? Where's our end of the bargain? So I love it. It's time to undermine the GOP. I said it in 2020. The GOP must be destroyed. Has to be utter. And yeah, they're going to say, he's a Democrat. He wants the GOP to be destroyed. The GOP serves the interests. The GOP, as presently constructed, serves the interests, the special interests, the donors. Everybody knows that. It serves Silicon Valley and little tech. Palantir, Tesla, SpaceX, Anduril, Oracle. It serves Wall Street. That's why Ken Griffin gave them millions of dollars. It serves Miriam Adelson and the Israel lobby. This is who they work for. This is who selects the cabinet. This is who makes the policy. That's why they cut the corporate tax rate and they did nothing else. That's why they're shielding illegal immigrants from deportation as long as they're working on farms or on construction sites or in hospitality. That's why they're still providing for H-1B visas. That's why they're still providing for Chinese students. That's why they back down on the tariffs. That's why they back down on everything. So this is the blueprint. This is how we take over. And by the way, hey, and get a load of this. Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie working together against the interests to compel the files. What do you think that has? A 90% approval rating? If you had progressive Democrats and nationalist Republicans working together, let's say to compel the release of the Epstein files, what kind of approval rating do you think that has? 90%? And what if they got together and they opposed foreign aid to Israel? What approval rating do you think that would have? 90%? What if they got together and worked on the basis of a common interest? Do you think that that Republicans or independents running under that brand, do you think that would become more popular or less popular over time? 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16. It snowballs. And we need to propel someone into the White House that is just a populist. And here's where we're going to have to give. This is going to be the compromise. Very simple. The left has to give up immigration. That's simple. The left is going to have to give up. Look, we can have equity and we can have equality in the country. We can have civil rights. We can have all those things. But we have to close the damn borders. We have to close it. Too many illegal immigrants. Too many legal immigrants. That has to be the compromise. The left has to give on immigration, and the right has to give on the free market. If the right can come down on health care and on a social safety net and maybe on some subsidies for education, and if the left can come down on the anti-white open border stuff and they can agree that we have a country, that party will win 90% of the vote and rule for a century. That's the compromise. That's the populist compromise. Why is it that for the left, it's like they don't even care about anything else? It just has to be open borders. And on the right, it's like they don't care about anything else as long as it's foreign aid to Israel and war in the Middle East and war with Russia. That's the kind of program that we need. And that's what they're terrified of. They're terrified that the left and the right are going to come together on the basis of stop supporting Israel, on the basis of close the borders, on the basis of restricting money in politics and the influence of the oligarchs. That's what they're terrified of.
I think Nick Fuentes has been watching the front line with Joe and Joe.
We've been saying that for years.
Right.
We've been saying that for years.
The only thing, and I'm glad he didn't mention it, and I don't know where it's going to factor into his whole thing. There's a couple things here, and I'm going to throw it over to you here at the front line with Joe and Joe, Joe Pasillo and Joe Rossinello. He didn't mention abortion. I'm not coming down on that. I'm not sitting at the table with any who says that even overturning Roe versus Wade is enough. We are anti-abortion. We are abortion abolitionists. So he didn't bring that up, but we have brought up on this show that yes, our free market system is not serving the people. The people are slaves to the system, and we believe in free markets, but it has to be free markets with a conscience. And the way you impose a conscience on the markets is through regulation and law.
Well,
That's
they
how
won't
you
do that because it affects. You see, when they use the Dow as the benchmark, that only affects maybe 25% of America. 50% of America don't own a share. That's been documented.
Right.
That doesn't affect the American economy, as in people. And that's why the Dow is 45,000. In my lifetime, it was under 10.
Yeah.
The oligarchs drive the policy for that to happen. He's 100% right. Any person who's a thinking, objective person knows that. So it benefits the few. It doesn't benefit all, the total. And eventually that is going to basically come back to haunt them because we are going to elect a radical socialist who is going to gut that. That you see, this is where the Chamber of Commerce, we've talked about this, the RNC, they can't let go of that because they're greedy, Joe. They can't let go of it.
They really are. You're not being judgmental when you call them.
No, it's just a fact. I
They
work
are.
with these people. They can't let it go.
I said a million times, okay? I don't say who I work for, okay, the company I work for, but I work in a restaurant. And let's just say, for argument's sake, the restaurant has $11 million as a top line, okay? That's a busy restaurant. Anyway, and that same restaurant brings about $3.3 million down to the bottom line, okay? Roughly about 30%. And you're going to tell me, okay, now I'm a manager, but you have back of the house guys, you got guys cooking the food, you got dishwashers. You're going to tell me that you couldn't take, do you know how much you could benefit your own people if, let's say for argument's sake, you abandon this everything's the bottom line attitude, okay, where it's at all costs. You have to, no matter what your workers, you take from your workers at all costs. When you abandon that attitude, and let's say in the example that I gave, and I'm only giving an illustration, $3.3 million. Do you know how much it would affect people's lives positively within that restaurant to just take $300,000 of that? Just $300,000 of that 3.3 million, and give managers a 20% raise, pay them properly, give your back of the house guys $5 an hour more. Joe, $5 an hour more is another $200 a week. That's another $800 a month for a working person working in a kitchen. Okay, that $800 is huge. All right.
Let me just interject why that can't happen. First, as soon your company is public, okay, the dividend drives everything, which means that's your report card. And when you do that, that affects the dividend. As soon as a company goes public, it becomes inhuman. The people don't matter. Never listen to the rhetoric. I've been in corporate America for 27 years. I've been in so many town halls. I've heard so much bull crap. I can tell you, I could read it a mile away. Anytime a public company says it's about the people, that is a stone-faced lie because the dividend drives the report card. And what that means is this. You and I can start a company It could be a great company. We can go public and we could do exactly what you just said because we care about our people because they've been with us forever. If the dividend dips, the board could remove the two of us. It's our
That's right.
company. And that is the problem.
Well, a lot of people are calling for reform on that.
But I'm just telling you, that's why that can't
is-
happen. The second reason why that can't happen is because we're in a post-Christian nation. You see, if I believe in Christ, I see Christ in others, and I'm not going to treat people like garbage because I can't.
Right.
Because I take my religion and my God seriously. I can't, in the name of business, treat you like a dog.
Right.
And that is also the driving reason why, because we don't believe in Jesus, who he really is.
Right.
We give a lot of lip service to that as a nation.
Right.
You can't say you believe in Jesus when you slaughter children in the third trimester. Sorry, dude. You don't believe in Jesus if you do that.
Right.
Sorry. So this is the whole thing. It's impossible. You see, the structure, and this kind of swings into what Fuentes is talking about. The ideal of America works. It's been co-opted by oligarchs. It can't function the way it's supposed to because as it's structured right now, it doesn't allow that to happen. We've even seen that bleed into Trump. The man who said he was going to destroy and drain the swamp. He has done some things, but he is limited. Now, I'm not giving him a buy. I expected you to blow it out, and you refused to. And it's evident that you have. He stopped short of that. And until that gets blown out, the reliance upon what Fuentes talked about, money and donors, the country will never function, as you said, Joe Pasillo, because it's not permitted to. You're not permitted to do that. The advertising, the donations, all of that drives the policy. Fuentes, we've been talking about this for years, and that is exactly the truth. And until that stops, all of it is just a theater and a show.
I don't know why. I mean, I get it with the donors. I get what Nick Fuentes is saying. For the life of me, I don't know why Donald Trump didn't just, like, the guy lost so much money. Like, he lost so much money being in office. His net worth has gone down. He's set for life. He's a multi-billionaire. I don't know why he didn't. I know it's easy to say. Like, if I had his money, I honestly, I mean it, because there's only so much money you could really enjoy. I turn around and say, listen, guys, you want to give me money, you give me money. I'm not listening to a word you say. I may take your advice once in a while, but my cabinet's going to be my cabinet, okay? I'm putting the people in place that I want. I don't want Bessent. I don't want Lutnick. I don't want these guys, okay? I'm going to put my people in place, and we are going to blow this whole thing up. In other words, we're going to change. So I get it. I get it. It's easy to say, well, he should have financed his own campaign. But that speaks to, too, like Nick Fuentes brought up again, must be watching the front line with Joe and Joe. Public finance of campaigns. You've got to get the money out of the equation. Then when the donor goes to give you $100 million, you could say, can't do it. It's against the law.
It's against the law. It's against the law. But here's the thing, to your point, I don't have that answer why he didn't take it to that degree. Only he knows that. But he didn't. Any Trump supporter, all you have to do is look at who gave him money, him not giving out the Epstein list, him looking at the big, beautiful bill, which was all crap. That bill could have been Obama's budget. It's the same crap. We're still fighting wars. So all of it, like, why? I don't know why. However, I will tell you this. Look at what they did to Donald Trump because they feared even what he has done thus far. It had nothing. You see, the thing that frustrates me, many people think it's about them. It's not about you. It's about the institutional democracy. It's about the interests, the special interests. The 7 out of the 10 richest counties in America live around D.C. They don't produce anything. They're parasitical, wealthy people that live off the government.
Right.
That's who it's about. People actually believe in their heart that it's about them. You have nothing to do with it. So that's number one. But number two, if you were to do that, Joe Pasillo. They would kill you. You would not get out of your front door. You see, what people are forgetting, they killed Charlie Kirk not because they didn't like him or he was bothering people or he said some uncomfortable things. Charlie Kirk was a danger. Charlie Kirk could very easily have become the president. Charlie Kirk controlled one of the most powerful political movements ever in America. Charlie Kirk convinced young males in college to vote for Donald Trump. That's danger, that's power, and that's why he's dead.
Right.
And if you tried to do that, do you actually think powerful people are just going to just shrug their shoulders like the common person does after they get their lifestyle taken from them? Oh, okay. My food bill now costs $800 a week. It used to cost $5. Oh, okay. I'll still vote for the same fool. No, powerful people don't operate like that.
Right.
Powerful people come at you, and if they have to kill you, they will. And case in point, they shot Donald Trump and they killed Charlie Kirk. And if one tried to do that, I mean full on, like if you were like full on, you're dead, dude.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get out of your house.
Well,
You'd be
Nick
dead.
Fuentes,
I think he's going to get killed.
Let me tell
Actually,
you something.
I would fear for him. If I was him, I'd be very afraid.
Well, they put out a hit on Candace Owens.
That doesn't shock me at all.
The French government took out a hit on Candace Owens. And she's brought the receipts. She's not like she's talking out of her, you know what? Okay. She's doubling down. She's not backing down. She didn't back down when she called Macron's wife a guy. All right. And said that Brigitte Macron is actually a man, born a male of the species. She didn't back down. She got tarnished a little bit, but she doubled down and she verified the things that she was saying. And I think last month, her podcast was the biggest in the world. Nick Fuentes' star has risen beyond belief. In other words,
there's I think an element to the Israel lobby to that.
See,
I think people are fed up with that.
People are definitely fed up with IPAC. We're going to play Thomas Massey in a second. People are definitely fed up with the things that are being talked about now, and what Pat Buchanan and Joe Sobran were talking about 25, 30 years ago, where the American conservative movement, led by William F. Buckley, stabbed them both in the back. William F. Buckley stabbed Joe Sobran right in the back, fired him from National Review because he said what these guys are saying now. With Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, they were saying it 25 years ago. Pat Buchanan got in trouble because he turned around and he said the only people that agree with the war in Iraq are the Israelis and their amen corner in the United States Congress. Okay, he got in trouble for that. Joe Sobran did something similar, and Buckley, to his shame, Buckley stabbed him in the back.
Well, he was probably getting money himself.
Well, there's a lot I've learned, because William F. Buckley at one point was one of my heroes. Okay, but there's a lot you got to learn about William F. Buckley. He was he's the one who gave rise to neoconservatism. Okay, this idea, this that they're calling now like Israel first type stuff. And my larger point is I do want to ask you this. I don't want to move on from this for a second. I don't think Nick Fuentes is not a naive guy.
No, not at all.
But he sounds a little naive to think that. See, I think that guys like us, except on abortion, not giving an inch on abortion and marriage. I'm not, okay? Except on abortion, I would be willing to talk to Democrats and meet in the middle, as we've discussed on the show going back to 2018. I would meet them in the middle on a lot of things, particularly
I'm going to
workers'
tell you
rights.
this on the abortion issue, just real quick. I don't want to belabor it. Obviously, I'm not for abortion, clearly. Before you have that conversation, you have to form people. That's never going to fly because our people are not formed, number one, and they've bought into the secular mindset. Everybody, Republicans, Democrats, people do not prescribe to not having sex before marriage, and they're not into not contracepting in marriage. So before you have that conversation, you need a few generations. This has to be a movement from the ground up. It's never going to be from the top down. It's just rhetoric.
But let me make a point. I'm not disagreeing with what you just said. I'm not. my larger point, I've had this conversation with an atheist friend of mine who identifies himself as a libertarian. I said, yeah, we could sit down at a table if we were both political leaders and we could have a conversation. We could agree on a lot of things. I said, but here's the thing, dude. I said, I'm not budging on abortion. So I hope you don't think I'm going to do that. And there's certain other things I'm not going to budge on either, in the name of supposed freedom or rights. I said, but we could sit down at a table. But what I do want to throw this over to you, but what Fuentes is also describing is a party I hope I'm not putting words in his mouth, a party that deals with one issue at a time rather than take all their wish list and throw it into these big, stupid bills. You want to talk about what we could do as far as Wall Street reform? A lot of people say that Wall Street needs to be reformed because of reasons that you described. Companies should be able to do what companies want. If you don't want to buy my stock, nobody's forcing you to buy my stock. But as I keep making money and I do it the right way and I take care of my workers, my stock will eventually catch up.
You
and
see,
you can't have
I'll
boards
be
of
honest
directors.
with you, Joe. Again, it comes down. It can't work. Trust me.
But it's got to be political will, Joe. Somebody's got to have a political. The reason we're doing the show is because we think that people at some point will get the political will to do these things.
But to do that, you have to blow out how the special interests run everything.
That's what I'm saying.
But before what you just talked about, you see, if you and I owned a company and it wasn't public, we can do that. Like we could have a guy that works in our warehouse. He's been with us 30 years and he breaks his leg. We could be like, listen, John, you always have a job with us. You just get healthy. We're going to keep paying your what's it called? Your paycheck. You got your benefits. We love you. Get healthy. You see, when the dividend runs it, you see, you have to change how the power runs everything. And that's why I voted for Donald Trump, to be honest with you. That was why I wanted him to take it that far. You see, what I'm saying right now rubs both parties the wrong way. The Republicans and the Democrats don't want to hear what I just said. I am a populist. I am a Catholic populist. You see, the press has turned Christian populism almost like it's a bad word. No, that's not a bad word. That's what the country was founded upon. Do you even understand that? That's what the country, they were Christian populists. It was a movement of the people who were unabashedly Christian. In fact, many of them were Puritans. So this is, again, you don't even understand what the country was about when it was founded. I'm all about what the country was founded. I just happen to be Catholic.
Right.
So that is the answer. And if you have a problem with that, again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Tough SHIT.
Yep.
This is what the country is. And if you have a problem with me saying that and you cause harm, well, guess what? It's on. And we're taking you down without an apology. You see, this is where we're foolish. No other country allows this. If you want to undermine what made America great from the start, I'm not tolerating it. If you want to undermine and hurt people, I'm not tolerating it. Just like I wouldn't tolerate it in my own house.
Right.
And we do, because we're foolish. And we shouldn't apologize. And the answer is, let's go to court. And if you take it further, well, there'll be consequences. That's it. An apology. No apologies. None. Sorry.
Well, I'll tell you one guy who, whatever he does, he never apologizes, nor should he.
Also, I'm going to say this here on camera because it's important. One of Kash Patel's staff threatened my staff with a criminal investigation if we didn't straighten up and play ball.
I was going to ask you about that, but since you brought it up, and I didn't
I'm bringing it up.
Okay, you brought it up.
And so, like a criminal investigation having nothing to do, he said it was going to be a fraud. We're going to investigate one of your staff for fraud. Right. And he told another one of my staff this. If you guys don't straighten up, if you want to play hardball, if this is how you want to play it or something like that, this member of your staff is going to get criminally investigated for fraud. A very specific threat.
Now, here's the thing. I believe every word he just said. I believe everything he just said. I think Kash Patel, another guy that, call it MAGA, America First, wanted Kash Patel to be the head of the FBI, okay? And he's doing something like that. Thomas Massey would not have said that if that was a lie. He would not have said that, okay? But this is the problem. Even somebody like a Kash Patel, Pam Bondi's coming under a lot of fire.
He's going to get fired soon.
Probably. But the thing is this, they've done nothing for us. Where is Adam Schiff? Why isn't Adam Schiff in an orange jumpsuit?
Why isn't Fauci in an orange jumpsuit?
That's right.
Why isn't Mayorkas in an orange jumpsuit? Like, let's be honest. Like, these are layups. Why isn't Comey in an orange jumpsuit? Layups, dude. I mean, where is one person who committed statutory rape on the Epstein list? Why aren't they in prison? Not one.
Right.
I mean, it's mind-boggling. All of this should have happened. All of that was promised. And again, it's because the system is owned. It comes, Joe, what has to happen is that has to stop. It has to stop. And that's what they're afraid of. Nick Fuentes nails that perfectly on point. That is what they're afraid of. It's a perception of freedom. They have all the cards. They drive all the policies. And what they do is they throw everybody, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, some red meat. It's like throwing a dog, a wild dog that's coming at you, a piece of steak, a bad piece of steak, or even just a scrap. Get in the corner and eat your crap while I deal what I have to deal with.
Right.
It's to placate and to basically pacify the masses. And that's what the art of politics is in America. Meanwhile, the agenda is driven by the few. I am not making this up. I am not being partisan. They both do it, and it has to end.
Right. Well, one of the ways that it's got to end is with that, and again, we've gotten nothing on this. I want election.
More mail-in ballots because the fraud can be there, and I believe that the fraud was there in the mail-in ballots. So no more mail-in ballots. We must understand that the system of mail-in ballots was put in place when we had Canadian forces based in Europe, and you have soldiers in Europe that were there. So for them to be able to vote, we implement the mail-in ballots. But now it's for everybody. And so that's why everybody must vote in person. And if you're a Canadian, and I don't know, you're traveling and you're in Japan the day of the election, maybe we can arrange that you can go at the embassy over there and vote in person at an embassy. So
sitting here right now, and I got to tell y'all, I'm black and I'm a veteran. I have 6 forms of government ID. 6. I've been black for my whole life. I've been a veteran since 2000 when I was at West Point. The insinuation that black and brown people cannot get an ID to vote like every other citizen, regardless of your race, religion, color, or creed, is insulting. I actually refer to this as the soft bigotry of low expectations. We, as all Americans, should want free and fair elections. We aren't making it more difficult for people to get an ID to vote. I have an 18-month-old little boy. Do you know the first thing that he got when he was born that I had to sign for? A birth certificate.
See, but these are the types of things. These are the types of things where everybody now knows, all right, they were all called nuts. They were taken down on YouTube. They were taken down on Facebook when everybody called into question the 2020 election, okay? And Republicans are talking about it. They haven't done a damn thing about it.
They're not
and
going
the Democrats,
to.
They're
And
not.
they're not. And that should have been done, to be honest with you. If I was the president, that's done week 1. And because, again, they're not interested in changing the process. Because Joe, listen, if you're a corrupt person, okay, let's take God out of it. All that drives you is money and power. Why would you change that? Why? I don't care about you. I'm going to again throw you a crumb, go in the corner and eat your crumb and get out of my face while I educate my kids at great schools. I have a great life and I could care friggin' less. Oh, I'll put on a good show. I'll pretend like I do. And this is exactly what he said is common sense. 70% of this country now votes as a result of COVID. COVID's gone, people. Via mail-in ballot. It's undisputable. Countries have stated it. There was a bipartisan commission, which you can't even find on the internet anymore, of Jimmy Carter and James Baker, a Republican and a Democrat, that said it's problematic. There is a video of Barack Obama stating it. Yet they still do it. Why? Oh, let's scratch our head. Why? Why? Because it's easy to manipulate. It's easy. Yeah. That's why they let 20 million people in. That's why it wasn't a humanitarian effort. It was a political movement. And there's segments of the Republican Party that are fine with it because they want cheap labor.
Yes.
And
exactly right.
People, again, we accept this. Oh, we just shrug our shoulders. Oh, okay. Meanwhile, we get our stupid crumb. Our kids' lives are affected. Our lives are affected. And we shrug our shoulders and we walk around like sheep and we pretend like everything's okay. And we still vote the same way. Right. We don't ask questions. We don't demand anything. And we accept it. I will never accept it. I don't care. I will never accept it. Ever. Sorry, I won't. Because it undermines my sovereignty and my family's sovereignty, and I'll never accept it. Sorry. Tough.
Right. I hear you 1,000%. I hope that's one of the I hope that's one of the issues that Nick Fuentes wants to sit down in this coalition he's talking about. And again, if you're dealing with people who are even somewhat sane, they do exist in the party. They don't have a voice, but at least you were talking to some sane people in the Democrat Party and you were at that table. That has to be rule number one, is we need to straighten out the elections. Everybody needs to have ID. No more mail-in ballots. Let's have a national holiday on election day. All business shuts down except for vital services, okay? And everybody goes and votes. They go get some popcorn, make some chicken parmesan and some macaroni, whatever you want to do, and watch the results. Joe Rossinello, great conversation as always here at the front line with Joe and Joe. We want to thank you all. We're gonna be going live Sundays. We're not sure what time, but sorry to do that to you, but generally speaking, it'll be around this time. Really appreciate it. If you like what we do, of course, help us out. Like, subscribe, share. Do all that fun stuff. Don't go anywhere because we're gonna go out the last minute and a half. We're gonna play you a clip from Snowden, from Edward Snowden, that is somewhat prophetic. So thanks once again, and remember till next week that our conversation is your conversation, and that conversation is going on everywhere. We'll talk to you soon.
They call the social credit system. If any of these family photos, if any of your activities online, if your purchases, if your associations, if your friends are in any way different from what the government or the powers that be of the moment would like them to be, you're no longer able to purchase train tickets. You're no longer able to board an airplane. You may not be able to get a passport. You may not be eligible for a job. You might not be able to work for the government. All of these things are increasingly being created and programmed and decided by algorithms. And those algorithms are fueled by precisely the innocent data that our devices are creating all of the time, constantly, invisibly, quietly, right now. Our devices are casting all of these records that we do not see being created, that in aggregate seem very innocent. You were at Starbucks at this time. You went to the hospital afterwards. You spent a long time at the hospital. After you left the hospital, you made a phone call. You made a phone call to your mother. You talked to her until the middle of the night. The hospital was an oncology clinic. Even if you can't see the content of these communications, the activity records, what the government calls metadata, which they argue they do not need a warrant to collect, tells the whole story. And these activity records are being created and shared and collected and intercepted constantly by companies and governments. And ultimately it means as they sell these, as they trade these, as they make their businesses on the backs of these records, what they are selling is not information. What they are selling is us. They're selling our future. They're selling our past. They are selling our history, our identity, and ultimately they are stealing our power and making our